As I've moved from a tech into an educator role, it's very motivating to think about how will I communicate that information to another generation of techs? How am I helping them to feel successful? How am I helping them to see the purpose in what we do? That we are purpose-driven work. That's been really, really encouraging for me and engaging. And then hopefully that passion that I have for the work that we do is going to continue to pass on to the people that I have the opportunity to impact as an educator.
What if one conversation could save a life? What if one new process or new product could save a patient from surgical harm? Broadcasting from a hospital basement near you, you're listening to the Beyond Clean Canada podcast, the voice of medical device reprocessing from C to C to C. Each week, we spotlight the people, processes, and products from around the country and the world that are disrupting our profession and helping you fight dirty. Every instrument, every time. Join us as we have the kinds of conversations that matter and give our industry the kind of voice that it deserves. And now it's time to go true north strong and beyond clean.
From the studios of Healthcare HQ, you're listening to Beyond Clean Canada, the voice of sterile processing from C to C to C.
On today's episode, we want to welcome two Alberta clean freaks, Colleen Penman and Luke Siewert, to our Beyond Clean Canada podcast. And we want to hear what these guys have been with us since the beginning of Beyond Clean Canada. They've been showing us so much love and support. Stacey and I appreciate you guys so much. And we want to hear, what makes you guys tick. So, Colleen, can you share a little bit about yourself? And Luke, can you follow a little bit after Colleen?
For sure. Thank you guys so much for having us on. Like you said, Luke and I have been super fans from day one, I think. For me, I'm currently working as a rural educator in Alberta. I started my MDR journey about 3 years ago. Before that, I had been working in healthcare administration. But many, many years ago, I had worked in a non-hospital surgical facility. They did Mohs skin cancer surgeries, and just from natural curiosity, I started asking the nurses, what's that? What are you doing with that? And that led to me helping them with their Mohs packs and helping to set up ORs. Life happened and I went in a different direction. But then a few years ago, I was doing caregiving for a family member. And there's so many more options now to take MDR courses in a flexible way. So you can do them online, you can do them distance. And it was a really good opportunity for me to get back to something that had tweaked my interest years ago. And now I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I really love the work that we do.
That's great. That is great. Whereabouts in Alberta are you, Colleen?
I'm supporting Camrose, Bonnyville, Vegreville, and Banff, but primarily based in Camrose.
So right in the mountains.
Yeah, I haven't got to go to our Banff site yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful. Well, that's awesome. And thank you so much for all your hard work, Colleen.
Thank you.
Luke, tell us about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Seems like Barry already knows you.
I am a MDRT based at the Royal Alexandra Hospital here in Edmonton. We are the biggest MDR site in Western Canada. We do, on average, 120 to 140 surgeries a day.
What?
Full swing. And it's crazy because we do like ophthalmology, we do ENT, gynecology, and orthopedic, neuro, urology, and thoracic. And so we do like everything. So there's never a dull moment at the Royal Alec. And we even have our own separate satellite MDR area called OSC, Orthopedic Surgery Center, within the Royal Alexandra Hospital. So they just do orthopedic, but now due to trying to increase the case counts and utilize the OR theaters, we also do urology cases and general cases as well. And I've been at the Royal Alec for about a year now, and it's been a really great opportunity just to kind of grow as an MDRT and just, continuous learning, because you're always going to learn something. We even had an in-service on Friday, so there's always learning.
I know our listeners can't see my face right now, but I am blown away. 100 and how many cases a day?
120, 240. The most I've seen in a day is 153.
Wow. How many theaters within the hospital?
So there's we help 3 different ORs. Like we help DOR and GOR and WOR, which is women's core. So WOR, they have 5 theaters, but Cross Cancer Institute, a separate AHS facility, their OR is getting renovated in their MDR, so they're actually doing their CCI cases here at the Royal Alex. That's one utilization of the theater. And then GOR, we have 10 theaters, but it's like all ophthalmology, so we have like so many cataracts and retinal cases every day.
That's like an assembly line process. We have ophthalmology at one of our sites too, and the cataracts, we call it the assembly line.
Yeah, I would say it's the assembly line because the amount we get is every day is just crazy. And then for DOR, we have 11 theaters upstairs.
Hats off to yourself and everybody across Canada, but your team, Luke, wow, good for you guys. That is,
you're covering all the bases.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
I need to visit your hospital.
You should.
Me too.
Cool.
I think, Colleen, you were mentioning before that you might be trying to organize a trip actually and a visit to Luke's hospital.
Luke and I have talked about trying to have a little field trip day. So we had met working together at the Grey Nuns, and a busy day at Grey Nuns. Luke was maybe 51 cases, including minor procedure. So the volume that Luke was describing at the Royal Alec just blows my mind. And we're all curious people, I think, in our field. We all want to see what's new, what everybody else is doing, get ideas. And we're still trying to line it up because we're on different rotations. But hopefully I'll be able to go visit Luke and see what they're doing in the big hospital.
Because you're still at least 5 hours away from each other?
I live in Edmonton, but commute to Camrose for work. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you're right there. Colleen.
Trying to get on the same schedule.
Yeah, no, for sure.
During your MDR technician career, what was the most challenging medical device you encountered and why?
At the Grey Nuns, I would say the most challenging instrument was our duodenoscopes, or our ERCPs. They are traditionally an instrument that causes a lot of healthcare and hospital-acquired infections. There's been a lot of lawsuits in the States over them because they are challenging to clean with that elevator and the distal end. I like them now, but especially when I was training on them, that weight of knowing how many people have had injuries and incidents related to improperly cleaned duodenoscopes, that definitely weighed on me when I was cleaning them. I was very careful with my ATP testing and what have you. Now in my rural portfolio, I would say it's not necessarily a particular instrument, it's the orthopedic cement. We find that in the little springs, in our femoral impactors, in our broaches, quite challenging to get all of that cement out of there. So it's not necessarily the instrument, it's something that they're using with the instruments when they're in the OR. And that was really the new challenge when I moved to a hospital that was doing total joint replacements, is learning how to recognize and how to attack that cement on instruments.
Yeah, that is something that I think is all, like, a lot of times overlooked. People focus on, like you just said, the D-scopes and endoscopy, and they forget that the challenges we face by getting that cement out of little crevices, finding that osteotome that just fits in there to chip it out.
And then to be doing that safely, because in a lot of sites we're using K-pins and K-wires to try and get into those small crevices, and doing that with my gloves on is another level of challenging, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We should focus a whole podcast on just the methods of how to chip away the orthopedic cement off of instrumentation.
And how resourceful MDR technicians are when it comes to facing those challenges.
Yes. We know how to use the tools too, just sometimes we use them in a different way to remove cement.
Exactly.
And I know too, adhesive is, sticky adhesive on certain items, certain medical devices as well. They're taping drapes off in the theater, and it's something that we face, like you said, Colleen, that's not necessarily an instrument, but it's something that we do face daily in cleaning and disinfecting of the medical devices.
Yeah. Removing the taping cement. Yes. See, we don't just disinfect and clean. We remove tape, we remove cement, we remove IOBAN, you name it.
Exactly.
Now, Luke, what brought you to MDR and what keeps you in MDR? So what motivates you, Luke?
Well, it's funny when you say that. I was actually, this was probably, if you said to me I would be an MDRT, I probably would have thought you were joking, because I was wanting to actually go to be an LPN, and then I just ended up not working out, and then I ended up finding MDR at Grey Nuns, and it is actually a lot better than I was thinking, and I'm really glad I'm doing it, because it impacts, or it's like helps the patients in a very direct way, but it's not like you're seeing the patient. And I think knowing that these instruments I'm cleaning or assembling and sterilizing is helping the patient have a safer surgery feels good every day. And even my family, my dad had shoulder surgery at the Grey Nuns Hospital, and knowing that our coworkers were a step in helping him have that safe shoulder surgery, and he's had no infections and his recovery is really good right now. So just like even that in itself is like a really satisfying part of the job. What keeps me is, I think, just the new technology. I was at the Alberta Medical Device Reprocessing Conference, and the amount of technology that there was from the vendors, I think, is just like, wow, this is like that. There's going to be even cooler technology coming as more technology evolves. And like, I don't know, there's like these rotating shelves booth that I saw, and I was like, man, that would make picking case cards so much easier. What if there's these shelves where you could just press a button and then the set's there, and and you don't have to bend your back at all?
They are working in our favor, right? They are. But I've always said we're the revolving door of evolving technology, our careers.
And Colleen, same question to you. You shared a little bit of this, but what brought you to MDR? What keeps you in MDR? What motivates you?
For me, I would say what keeps me in MDR is I'm an innately curious person. I want to know why. I want to know how. I always have questions. I love research, and I like change. I have a little bit of ADHD, and I'm always happy when there's new things to learn and new things to do. And in our industry, those things are changing month to month. The technology is moving so fast. The vendors are so creative in identifying and trying to solve issues with instruments, with particular surgeries. So as a curious person, it's a great field. There's always something new to learn. There's always something to look up. And it's really kept me dialed in. And then as I've moved from a tech into an educator role, it's very motivating to think about how will I communicate that information to another generation of techs? How am I helping them to feel successful? How am I helping them to see the purpose in what we do? That we are purpose-driven work. That's been really, really encouraging for me and engaging. And then hopefully that passion that I have for the work that we do is going to continue to pass on to the people that I have the opportunity to impact as an educator.
Thanks for sharing that, for sure. And, Stacey and I have asked this question to numerous guests, and it's always a little different. You know what I mean? So it's great to hear your guys' perspective on that.
So as Barry had asked Colleen, Luke, we want to know what your most challenging instrumentation is.
Well, we have a lot of instruments at the Raw Alec, so it's hard to pinpoint one. I might have like 2 or 3, but probably the Finchetto retractor. It's a specific thoracic retractor that opens up the chest. And because someone assembled it backwards one time.
Oh no. They
now make it a requirement to have someone double check that it is made properly and opens the correct way because of how important that is. And so then in the middle of surgery, they don't have a Finchetto retractor that's assembled backwards. I'd say that one's a little difficult to try figuring out. And probably MIS, like laparoscopic instruments, I would say, because we have multiple MIS and sets like thoracic laparoscopy and gynecology and urology. I'd say those are very difficult because each metal handpiece is made different and has different ways to be put together. And then probably similar to the cement up in orthopedic surgery center, we have sets come to decontam as is. Like you don't get to, like how they pre-clean it and soak it beforehand. They don't have that in OSC. So you just get the sets right after surgery. So they could be full of bone. They could be full of cleaning them can be quite the challenge, especially those acetabular reamers. You have to soak them in a sink for quite an extended period of time because they're just full of bone or blood.
Remove the hip particles.
Yeah, you have to remove all the hip particles. So decontamination in OSC can be quite physically demanding. Let's just say that.
Luke, we reprocess the same Finchetto and some other thoracic retractors as well, and same at our MDRA, the two-person system for sure on it, and the laparoscopic stuff for sure. You know what I mean? It's always a huge challenge. I know we moved to MIS racks for the washer disinfectors, and with the hookups and stuff like that is such an improvement than what we were doing prior to that, right? And it's there's a lot of challenges out there that we're facing, but we're overcoming a lot of them, so it's good to hear.
And it's always beneficial too to have that boroscope on the other side as well, so you can double check those lumens that come off of those lap pulley sets and come through the MIS racks.
Colleen, we were discussing some talking points earlier, and one of yours that's near and dear to your heart is how do we find community in our industry? Can you elaborate a little bit about that? And, I know we'll all have a little something to add with you on this as well, right? So,
for sure. When I was coming in the industry and getting ready for my exam, I was pretty nervous about the exam. And then, as I mentioned, I'm somebody that always has questions. And I was able to find some Facebook groups, but I don't know if combative is the right word that I want to use, but there was a lot of just people wanting to get on there and argue stringer versus non-stringed instruments in decontam, whether they crack the door or don't crack the door on their sterilizer. I didn't want to get on and argue with anybody. I just wanted to find people that were doing the work that I love, that also loved it, and that might be a light for me to follow. They might illuminate a path for what could be the next role that I would pursue, what could be the next exam that maybe I should look at. And for me, I really found that on the LinkedIn community. That's how I connected with Beyond Clean. That's where I found some inspiration for what I was going to do as far as exams. And I just tried to reverse engineer it. I found people that were working in roles that I was interested in, looked at what are the letters after their name. Oh, okay, well, what does CHL stand for? Where can I find that exam? Where can I find maybe practice exams or study materials for that? And with Beyond Clean, again, having those larger conversations around across the provinces and across Canada, why do we all have different names for the same job? Why is there 5 different things that your job can be called if you're working as a tech? What is the compensation like? Are there developmental role opportunities for new people coming into the field? LinkedIn was really, really key for me. And then some of those websites like Quizlet or ProProfs or SterilWorks, even finding community in there with other people that were learners as well. That was really important for me. And it really kept me engaged and focused as I was going through other exams. And I really recommend them to anybody else. And then I'm also finding we're a small industry. As much as maybe in a larger hospital, you have 45 techs on staff. a lot of people know each other. They've worked in multiple hospitals. Maybe they have supervised or been supervised by someone else. So community does become important because you're going to end up working with somebody that maybe someone else has worked with, or you may be applying to work under somebody that knows somebody that's managed you at another site. So I think community is really, really key for us as an industry going forward, also to talk about that compensation piece. Are we getting paid a wage that reflects the importance of the work that we do as the heart of the hospital?
That's a really good point, Colleen. Actually, Barry just has been doing extensive research on compensation across Canada. And on our Beyond Clean page, he posts pretty much weekly, right, Barry? Or every other week, what you have pulled from what hospital in what area of Canada as to what that technician is being paid. And it's really, really interesting because I know here in Ontario, the wage is very good. And I know other parts of Canada, it might not be. And it's like, it should be something that is standardized across the board. We are so crucial to the industry that we should be, and I'm not saying but our compensation should be at the same level as our expertise and our importance. And I will always stand by that.
Yeah.
We deserve a lot more than some people are receiving.
Definitely, Stace.
Yeah.
And, this is something that Stacey and I have been working on behind the scenes, and Colleen had started posting different stuff about different provinces and stuff, and I said to Stacey, I said, Colleen's doing this too. I said, I said, we got to get ours out there too, and that's where it comes from too. Like, I joke around on some of the posts or whatever. Both Colleen and Luke, you know what I mean? The guys are like not so secret agents of Beyond Clean Canada, right? Because you're so dedicated and passionate to us, and you're always sending us love, and you're always sending us some cool articles or content for us to think about and to post as well. You know what I mean? So I think that's the sense of the community as well. That's what Stacey and I are trying to do. Like, we're trying to grow this organically, one relationship at a time. And, it takes time to develop that. And it's like, Colleen, you mentioned it, the MDR community needs this so badly. I know we have CSA, we have CAMDAR, we have our provincial, so it's like AMDRT, MDRAO, Medrans. And, we're here at Beyond Clean Canada, Stacey and I, to help develop and grow the MDR community as well, right? And, at different times, we'll play the role of disruptor. We're willing to do that because we know if we're going to bring positive change, disruption has to happen. Right?
Luke, I see a question on here about Hollywood. So did you make some educational movies, Luke? Can you let our listeners know how to watch you on the big screen?
Yeah. So we have this MDRD movie. It's actually still available on the AHS website. The one I'm in, it's going to be released probably in 2026. But the old movie was made about 10 years ago. And for our supervisor at Grey Nuns, actually, he is in it. So you get to see him 10 years younger. But yeah, it's really cool because it has a video for each area in the department, one on decontamination, one on assembly, one on sterilizing, one on endoscopy, one on case carts. But they just wanted to update it because some of the ways things were done 10 years ago is probably drastically different than it is now. So yeah, I volunteered to be in it because I thought it'd be a cool opportunity. So they did film me sterilizing. So in the new movie, when it comes out, I'll be sterilizing and also doing hand hygiene. So yeah, they did say at the conference, hopefully in January or early 2026 is the hope for the release date. I think they're still editing it, but it's public on the AHS website. If you just search up MDRD AHS, and then it'll show a page for medical device reprocessing, and then it'll show centralized medical device reprocessing, and then all the little videos. So it is actually quite interesting because then you kind of get to see my Royal Hospital through a movie. Of course, 10 years ago, it's a little different than it is now. But
right.
Yeah, Luke, you actually sent me that link, and I checked it out too. Yeah, like you said, it's a little dated, but wow, I was blown away by even I didn't know how old it was, but 10 years ago, man, that was that was ahead of its time. That was like a 23-part video. It covered every base of MDR reprocessing. It listed the standard operating procedures as well, And I think MDR actually published that in partnership with IPAC as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think infection prevention control was part of that. Because even this one, we had the former MDR manager at the Royal Alec. She works for IPC, and she was part of the managing of the movie and stuff. So she was the one narrating it. So you'll hear her voice in the new movie. That's
great. We'll post, for all of our listeners, we'll post the one from 10 years ago, and then we can make a little challenge to everyone and be like, let us know what's been updated since then. And then we'll post your new one. And then at your next conference, people will be lining up to get your autograph. Yep.
People in Newfoundland will be like, oh, Luke, I want your autograph.
Oh, that's right. We're all going to be in Newfoundland next October.
I definitely would like to go, yes.
Yeah. Well, you're just going to be rolling off celebrity status by then.
Right.
And Colleen, another talking point that you had was how to plan a career path in the field of MDR. And, you'll, and Luke, you'll be happy to know too, we finally had CAMDAR President Danny LeBlanc on for a recording. And we've had a lot of requests, Stacey and I have had for Danny. And we've had him on. So that was awesome. He was on with another CAMDAR board member, Stephanie Mailman-Crouse. So it was excellent to have them on as well. And he, Stacey, what he shared with us, that, he touched every rung on the career MDR ladder, and, I think, Colleen, that'll definitely be something that you want to listen to on that episode, just to hear his experience firsthand, and his motivational, he shared so much that, it'll make an impact on your trajectory for sure, right? So, yeah.
He talked a lot about how he climbed his career ladder, because everybody starts at the bottom, and we all do what we do and make our way up, right?
And
all
Colleen,
for the greater good, of course.
100%. And Colleen, like you said, you've transitioned from MDR technician, now MDR educator. You're experiencing that personal and professional growth as well. I know that you were a huge, even before you became an educator, I knew you were a huge education advocate. I know you recently achieved your Golden Crown status. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Congratulations.
Absolutely. When I was looking at education options, once I had my CSA certification, with CSA, the option was the certification I already had, and then a manager certification that I had to already be working in leadership before I could challenge the exam. So there wasn't, with CSA, a roadmap, if you will, a path outlined. But I had already gotten my CRCST with HISPA. When I was finishing my program at SAIT, they recommended that I do that because there is a provisional certification that you can do with them. So that you write an exam, go into your practicum, and then as soon as you finish your practicum, you send them proof of your hours and you're certified that base level HISPA certification right away. That was really nice because some of our smaller hospitals or smaller sites in Alberta will accept that baseline HISPA certification. You don't have to do the CSA, where some of the larger hospitals, because the CSA is a little bit more challenging exam, they do prefer that one. So I already had that baseline. I looked at some of the speakers that have been on the Beyond Clean podcasts, found them on LinkedIn, looked at what certifications they had, and then started working my way through those exams. And it was also interesting, our sort of secret agent postings that we were doing of job opportunities across Canada. There was a really wide opportunity net that I hadn't thought of. So I knew you could be a tech in a hospital. I didn't realize there were so many private clinics that you could work in our role. I didn't realize how many opportunities there were for specialization. In the really large sites, they may have someone who is a working lead only, and so that person has some really specialized knowledge and skills in that particular area. I didn't realize, though if I really thought about it, I would have known that there's MDR opportunities in our Canadian military. Didn't realize that was an option. People could grow into roles teaching, again, at their local college. They could grow into an educator role within their own site. So there are so many opportunities out there. For me, I think the key was letting my leadership team know that I was working on things. They could see that I had initiative and that I had interest to move into other roles. I also used my involvement in our social club at Grey Nuns to show some of my computer skills. So we did a spring back into education, I guess you would call it an event or a contest. So I used Google Docs to create a 10-question quiz, put up a sign with a QR code that they could do it on their phone in the lunchroom. And as long as they completed all 10 questions, whether they passed or not, it would give them an opportunity to be entered into a draw for t-shirts. So little things like that were showing my leadership team that I was somebody who was driven, that I was somebody who had interest beyond the tech role that I was already in. And I think that put me on their radar headed into this need for an educator in our rural zone. So I think there's so many opportunities for careers. There's so many opportunities for additional education. The conference that Luke and I went to, we had a blast. It was so informative. We had amazing speakers. And I think even that, the CE credits from attending that conversation were 7 credits for going down there for the day. And I'm like Luke, I'm definitely looking at how I can get out to the Maritimes next year for CAMDAR. I think there's so many opportunities, and you do have to have a little bit of initiative to go find them.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So there's different programs. There's, like Colleen had said, the CSA, MDRAO. Alberta is a province, now correct me if I'm wrong, that does require their own certification, correct?
Mandatory certification?
No, you do. Okay, so there is the CSA that Alberta. Okay, so I did know. So in working in Alberta, they do require the CSA certification.
They do require CSA, and most sites require that you have completed your practicum hours and then done your CSA.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, unless you're working in a developmental role. We have developmental roles where you can come into an MDR, you are on the payroll, you haven't completed your practicum yet, but you are actively in school so that you can be drawing a wage while you're completing your program. And that has been a game changer, especially in our smaller sites where it's traditionally been challenging to keep them fully staffed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing that across Canada, to be honest with you, because of the shortage. It's that they are taking in these techs as long as they are enrolled in a program and allowing them to finish their program out while working.
Absolutely. And then we have a lot more options for flexible studying. I did SATE's distance program. Luke did a distance program, I think, with MDRAO. Now we have Red Deer also offering MDRT, Lethbridge.
That's amazing.
Vancouver Island University in BC also offers flexible online study programs. So a lot more ways to get into the industry now, I think.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Colleen and Luke. Definitely, Barry and I are so appreciative of the support that you've given Beyond Clean Canada, because it's people like yourselves who will keep this platform running and allow us to deliver the education that is our goals. So we want to thank you so much for joining, and we definitely hope to have you on again in the future.
That's awesome. This was really fun. Thank you, guys.
Yes, this was awesome. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond Clean Canada, your source for MDR content, education, and inspiration. If you enjoyed this conversation, we'd love to hear from you on the BCCA LinkedIn or Facebook page, or anywhere podcasts are heard. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating on your favorite app. And until we talk again, keep fighting dirty.